Hey, what's going on, guys? aarava here, and welcome back to my F1 2018 career mode, episode number 37 today for the Russian Grand Prix in Season 2. If you did miss the last episode, the Singapore Grand Prix yesterday, then be sure to go check that one out before you see this one. Plenty of havoc in that, but from that one, spoiler alert, Fernando Alonso ended up dominating that Grand Prix, and you can see by this chart in the bottom right there, McLaren actually have improved even more to nearly match Force India on the performance chart here. Red Bull and myself don't take any steps forward. Ferrari with a slight improvement there, and then in the midfield, Mercedes with a tiny improvement over Renault, and Sauber, I think, continue to improve a little bit with a minor upgrade there, and they continue their small little charge in the late half of this season to try and become an established midfield team there, with Williams and Toro Rosso by themselves. But it'd be very interesting to see for me how Alonso especially does this race, because he was literally on something last episode. Even you guys in the comments were pointing out how quick he was, so I don't know what on earth he had for Singapore, but we'll see if in Russia it's going to be the same thing. Let's get into qualifying and hopefully have a better time, because remember, last season here, we made a crucial error of not changing engine parts. This season, we don't have that issue. We don't even have very worn engine parts going into this race, so there's no worn engine parts for me to forget about. So hopefully we can actually be competitive and actually have a race, rather than qualifying okay and then just falling back and back and back and just having a bit of damage limitation, basically. So looking forward to actually going forward maybe, then backwards. So let's get into qualifying then and see how we do on the Saturday.
Welcome back to Sochi. We're about to be joining the action down in the pit lane as the cars get ready to embark on their qualifying runs. So then, Ant, it's another Grand Prix weekend, another exciting qualifying session ahead of us. What are you going to be looking out for over the next few minutes?
The first question is going to be who can avoid making mistakes. There isn't much margin for error in qualifying, and you have to bear in mind that the track conditions may have changed since practice, particularly as we've had a few support races in the meantime. If the brake bias settings, for example, don't take this into account, it's extremely easy to lock up a front wheel and cause a flat spot. Just like that, your lap's ruined and you've wasted a set of tyres to boot.
So into Q1, and we're on the Hypersoft tyres, the fastest compound available. Of course, Russia, very, very low tyre wear, low track abrasion on the surface, so there's no need to even try, gamble a little bit by qualifying on slower tyres, because it is going to be a very, very easy one-stop. I think a calamity would have to happen for us to be doing a two-stop around here. You can see, though, at the very get-go, start to get used to the circuit once again. A pattern of mine as of late of getting used to, obviously, kind of, having a few breaks here and there in between recording sessions, I think just gets me out of the mood of the car, so I need to kind of get back into the rhythm every single step into here in qualifying. But you can see on the second run, it's just straight away into turn 2 off the exit, we gain a decent chunk of time, and then through the last corner there, just about managing to navigate it. That corner, very, very understeery, especially with the extra power and lightness of the car. You kind of go in as deep as you can and almost chuck it off circuit there. We do get through into P9. My teammate Magnus looking strong, but the two Force Indias, like they have done for the last 2 episodes now, looking just about there in the top 3. Alonso once again dragging that car up a little bit further than Stoffel Van Dorn. But we're into Q2 then, the second session, again on the pink Hypersofts. There's no point trying to even qualify on the Ultras, because I'll just end up doing the same strategy, and to be honest, I'd rather be starting the faster compound tyre, especially if, the likes of Alonso and those Force India cars are going to be as rapid as they were at Singapore in a few occasions. Force India obviously dropped off a little bit, but, I would rather be there with the same compound tyre and not try and play a long game and then see what the lap time's like versus just trying to race them on track. So we go across the line then. It was a little bit iffy here and there, but eventually we do find the time there in Q2, and we're up in first place. Magnus in third, Vettel in second. You can see the Force Indies did drop off a fair bit, especially Ocon, and Hamilton just about makes it through. Bottas out of Q2, I should say, and not in the top 10 shootout there. So Mercedes still very much kind of that midfield runner. And again, actually, strangely enough, Fernando Alonso makes it into the top 10 shootout, but his teammate does not. So again, it's really just Alonso's AI, because he's actually on provisional pole position here as we go to our second flying lap. That first flying lap in Q3 was on a worn set of Hypersofts, because I used 2 sets in Q1, so I basically used a set I used in Q1 for that first run to give me a banker lap time here. So we're in P8, I think that is, in the top left, and so now we're on a brand spanking new set, and my final set of Hypersofts, the kind of extra set you get given for Q3. And so let's see if we can try and get a bit higher than Sergio Perez and Dan Ricciardo at the moment. Although very surprised to see Ricciardo down there in P9 behind me already, because of course on the performance chart you saw Red Bull very much still with us there at the very top of the chart. So yeah, it doesn't really appear, just like in 2017 the game, after a while, after a couple of good races into the career mode, maybe the performance chart isn't really telling us the full story of what the cars are like in terms of their pace. As you come across the line then, it's a decent lap to improve by a fair bit, but it only gets us P4, and there we have it. Fernando Alonso, for the second time in a row now, is on pole position. This time though, it's not by an absolute yard. I think in last episode, I think it was a second that he was on pole by, so here it's a little bit closer. You can see the entire top 10 is pretty close actually compared to how it was in Singapore. Force India, Ocon does well. Vettel, surprised that Vettel got there ahead of me, because the Ferrari really hasn't been a feature of a top car in the last 5-6 episodes really, and they've been woeful in especially the last 3 episodes. So surprised to see him there beat my teammates. I'm happy about that. But again, Alonso on pole. Let's see if it's going to be another Singapore affair where he just waltz off into the distance, or can me, Ocon or Vettel, or even my teammate maybe right behind me, try and have a go and fight that McLaren. Let's find out then. Let's go to the intro and get to the grid.
Good afternoon from Sochi as we prepare to get underway for the Russian Grand Prix. The championship battle has some time to go yet, but still expect no quarter to be given here on this circuit that made its debut in 2014 and has already seen some classic racing. Built on the shores of the Black Sea, the Sochi Autodrome is a 3.6-mile tour around some of the venues built for the 2014 Winter Olympic Games. Close barriers may make overtakes more challenging, but with 56% of the lap taken absolutely flat out, we certainly won't be wanting for pure speed. A fitting arena then to do battle at the pinnacle of motorsport. Well then, after an exciting qualifying session yesterday, let's take a look at how the cars line up. Fernando Alonso has a good view of turn 1 from his pole position slot, and it's Esteban Ocon in P2. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have the engineer, Verstappen, Kevin Magnussen and Perez, Ricciardo, Hamilton, Raikkonen and Valtteri Bottas, Leclerc, Van Dorn, Nico Hülkenberg and Ericsson, Hartley, Sirotkin, Carlos Sainz. They've taken a grid penalty, and Pierre Gasly, Stroll and Sebastian Vettel starts from the back of the grid. And now it's time to head down to the track.
Right, so that was mentioned in the qualifying portion, is going to be a very simple one-stop hyper to ultra soft tyres, but unlike last season, we're actually going to have a race here today. Not going to be going backwards due to engine issues, and we can actually have a go at maybe the cars in front of us, and one of them will be Fernando Alonso, with Vettel having a penalty and being sent all the way to nearly the back of the grid. We are now once again staring at the back of that McLaren car as we go to 5 red lights then here in Russia for round number 18 of the season. 5 red lights are out, and we're underway for 27 laps here around the Sochi Autodrome, and Ocon has a good getaway as well as Alonso though, and we just have to stick behind in P3. But even better start for my teammate Kevin Magnussen, who shoves me off a little bit there and bumps me on the left hand side. Ocon's into the lead now, but Alonso with a big dive, lock up though into turn 2. He just about managed to survive the corner and gets back into the lead, but a little bit iffy there from Fernando, I can't lie there, with a big lock up. He kind of used Ocon as a battering ram to keep himself on track there, but Ocon in P2, Magnussen up to a great P3. He's made a stonking start. He was 2 positions behind me on the grid, so his traction must have just been insane into turn 1 then, that little kink on the straight. And then behind us is Sergio Perez, who's managed to get ahead of the Red Bull car. I think that was Verstappen then, and so both Force Indias ahead of the Red Bull cars in tandem there, and Perez actually having a look at me at the end of lap 1 down the back straight there. No DRS yet, but you can clearly see the straight line speed of the Force India is very, very strong. There's no wonder why they were so strong at the Italian Grand Prix 2 episodes ago. But now we move on later into the race, lap number 2, and Magnussen up ahead. Look at that, he's going to try and make a move now on Ocon round the outside of turn 2. A little bit of contact was made there into turn 3 now. The long left-hander, they slog it out, and Magnussen is going to keep his foot in there. There's still neck and neck, nothing separates the Frenchman and the Dane. Magnussen the long way around, it's a tap and another tap there for Ocon there. He's really getting the elbows out, and all the meanwhile, it's almost like a Singapore repeat, dare I say it. Alonso just finding time in time, getting away from this this fight, and now look at that. They fought so much that now I'm part of this, and I can have a go now, because it was looking like they were going to get away from me, but now Magnussen's done me a favour there by fighting Ocon so much. I can now have a go on the outside. Very unorthodox place to try and make a pass there. He nearly forced me off circuit. Down the inside though, little bit of a dive, and we just managed to do it, and we're up into P3. I had to make that move then, because it was very, very clear. You saw there, mid-apex, Ocon had no speed for some reason after he got overtaken by Magnussen. I don't know if he was flustered or whatever, but now look at that. Perez is going to try and make a move on his own teammate there, and obviously in real life these two aren't allowed to race anymore, but they're definitely going wheel to wheel right now in the F1 game, and it looks like Perez might have the better of Ocon for now as we swing through onto lap number 5 then, and we're now catching up to our teammate Magnussen. DRS open, overtake mode on the ERS. We've got about half the battery left there, so good work there, and also plenty of fuel rich mix. Magnussen goes defensive though into turn 2. Nice to see that from the AI, and we were unable to make anything work just then, so you might have to wait potentially until the back straight of lap 5, or maybe even all the way until the same place on lap 6 to maybe have a better run, because I was a little bit far back there on that main pit straight. Want to be a little bit closer through the final corner, and speaking of that, here we come through the second last corner to the last, and now you can see we're a lot closer now. Chuck it in quite nicely into the last. We lost a lot of time though in the top right there, being behind Magnussen, and you can see in the minimap how far Alonso is, so we're going to have to hope we can make this move stick and then really get a move on and really test how fast that McLaren is in the hands of Alonso. But here we go now on the left hand side, big dive on the outside, really broke quite late there compared to Magnussen on the inside. Magnussen the outside though, and he's going to keep his foot in, and he's going to have the confidence to still pull it around my outside, and he's actually got it to the inside there. I don't know how he's found the momentum there, but he's gone too deep, and we just managed to make a switchback move work to the inside there, up into P2 once more, and we're going to brake a little bit earlier, try and fend him off, and we are going to solidify that P2 position. So nice little switchback move. I didn't expect him to go that deep, but he did, and so we were able to avoid him going very slow mid-apex and able to get that pass done. But it's not over yet, because he comes back. He comes back at us on the back straight there, and so I really hope, I'm just looking at this now, if this fight keeps going on like this, Alonso's going to have such an easy time again, because look at the minimap, it's ridiculous. He's almost got a good 2 corners ahead of us now, and Magnussen's back ahead even with the lock up there on the back straight, and now my team want me to pit in on the next lap, on lap 7, get a bit of an undercut maybe, because I think my scheduled pit stop was lap 9, so we're pitting 2 laps earlier, I think, here for an undercut, and I think last season the undercut did work quite well here around Sochi, even with my engine failure. I think I could see clearly the AI, the undercut worked well for them, so we'll have to see how it goes. I mean, I can't really lose too much. The tyre wear is so ridiculously low around here, Sochi. It doesn't really matter if you pit like a lap or 2 earlier. You're not really going to find that much bad wear towards the end of the Grand Prix here. I really wish they need to do something or other about this circuit in real life and the game, because it always just ends up being a very mundane one-stop. You guys know me. I love a good 2-stop race or more. Have a bit of strategy play. There's not really any strategy involved in this race. You pretty much go as flat out as you can, because you don't need to look after your tyres too much, to be honest. So now we come out there, lap number 8, plenty of clean air, P19. The only person behind us is Sebastian Vettel, who's having a tough old race, I guess. We haven't really seen much of him, but I'm guessing from the back of the grid, just like was the case back at the Hungarian Grand Prix when him and Hamilton had engine penalties to the back of the grid. He's going to have a tough time getting through that infamous traffic here in the F1 2018 game. And speaking about traffic, Fernando Alonso comes out ahead of us, but he has crucially some Williams ahead of him and some other traffic. You can see that big train there of some Toro Rossos as well. So we'll see and pray maybe if Alonso gets caught up in enough traffic, maybe we can catch him, because he was quite far ahead, but it wasn't like Singapore where he was an entire sector ahead of me. It was only 2 corners. So let's see as we now come out ahead of Kevin Magnussen then. So we have made the undercut work, a real good treat there, and so now we can try and chase after Alonso, who has overtaken one Williams car, but he's got another to get through, and also that Renault of Carlos Sainz, and the Renault should definitely be a faster car to try and get through there, whereas the Williams maybe is a bit easier. But saying that though, we cut back to our POV on lap 10, going on to lap 11 by the end of this lap, and you can see there how much time Alonso's losing here, and the traffic is doing me an absolute solid there. We catch up to the Canadian Lance Stroll, and Alonso's still not yet past Sergei Sorokin. So how many times did I talk about maybe Sorokin in the Singapore Grand Prix when it was really Lance Stroll last episode, but this time round at his home Grand Prix, Sorokin is spoiling the party a little bit here for the race leader, effectively. Fernando Alonso struggling to get past him. He might just do it now, but it's going to be at the perfect time for us as well. We're going to get past Lance Stroll on the right-hand side there. Sorokin actually goes for a move down the inside of the Renault, so Alonso doesn't overtake the Russian. It's actually the Russian who tries to get past the Renault car, and he's still not done it, but it holds up Alonso even more now through turn 3 into the next sector, down the inside in the infamous place where Raikkonen crashed with Bottas here, and we just about managed to make it through, but Alonso has the straight line speed and the traction at that corner to get it ahead still. And actually Lance Stroll there tries a little pop down the inside of me, and Magnussen's also not too far off there in that train. But you can see again, look at that, how much Alonso loses there mid-apex because of Sorokin, and so we can have another pop. We tried it once there on the inside, didn't work out, but now we're getting towards the back straight, a long straight, much better place to make a pass than off-camber right-hander corner at the end of sector 1. So here we go now, DRS available to us. We've got plenty of ERS battery power to deploy and also rich mix. So here we go. Alonso will go for the move as well on Sorokin. Can we make this a double pass there? Double slipstream down the inside. Big brake zone there. Lock up on the front left, but we made it work. We've actually made it work very easily, actually. I was panicking. I had a mini heart attack as soon as that front left started to lock a little bit. I thought, oh no, this is going straight on there. There's no way I make this corner, just like Singapore when I tried to overtake. I think it was who was it? I think it was one of the Force India cars at Singapore, and I went straight on and let Verstappen pass. But no, I made it work somehow, slowed the thing down, and so we are effectively up into a net P1 in this race, because a few people are yet to pit in this Grand Prix. We're up into P4, but it will be eventually first place in the Russian Grand Prix, and so it's looking all very tasty. And I've got to thank the undercut, and then 2, the traffic that aided me so much. And you can bet after being on pole position and also being in such a commanding lead for most of that first stint there, Alonso's going to be quite pissed off in that cockpit of his. And as he tries to maybe close up on me, it's actually going to be maybe more bad times ahead for the Spaniard, because here comes my teammate Magnussen in P3 to try and take P2 from him down the inside. DRS open, even with Alonso with DRS. I think Magnussen clearly just has more ERS maybe deploying, because he goes right around the outside of him for a really beautiful overtake there. And so now it is a 1-2 for Haas F1, where I really didn't think it was going to be. You know, I didn't think we are going to get another 1-2 this season, but at the moment we're looking pretty damn good, and Magnussen is looking like he's got a fire in his belly at the moment, because he might even try and overtake me soon enough, because I'm not trying to get away. I'm not getting away from this pack at the moment. I just don't have the raw pace to just slam it down and pull the gap there. You can see a big train actually of the 2 Red Bulls not too far off the Force India, but I think that's more of a case of, like we saw at Monza, like we saw at Singapore plenty of times, just a lot of fighting here, and it's all very close in the top 7. Magnussen now makes a dive bomb down the inside into turn 2. I broke as late as I could there, but Magnussen just even better on the brakes, and he's on the outside of turn 3. He's got it, and he's up into P1. So we have a fight now with our teammate. We fought a little bit in stint 1, but now it means a lot more. And oh god, Alonso definitely attacked me a little bit there. I don't know what actually went on there. I think maybe I was going too slow into that corner for Alonso's liking. He tried to impatiently try and make a move on the outside, but I was still very much there, Fernando. So just calm things down, my man. But we're going to move then through this race on lap 15 now. DRS on us with ERS as well. We're a little bit low on fuel, so you have to watch out for that. But here we go now, down the inside of Magnussen. He's going to chop us off a little bit and just doesn't give us the room there, and we just don't have the speed to get past in that bit of the circuit like Magnussen did to Alonso. So we have to wait patiently until the main straight. Lap 16 now, and now you can see we've got the momentum, we've got the speed, and we've got it all to go into turn 2. Here we go, nice and easy. Don't lock up into the apex, across into the racing line, and we're up back into P1. And Magnussen has to stay at the back of our gearbox once again, and it's still a 1-2 though, so that's the most important thing, that we don't hold each other up to stop this 1-2 hopefully. Alonso is still P3 though, lurking along with Esteban Ocon I think in the Force India, and then still the 2 Red Bulls are there, so the Red Bulls might be, you know, just about maybe get into this race later on. But let's see, because first of all we have to concentrate about Magnussen. And on lap 16 now, he's on the right hand side, he's waltz passes with DRS, Alonso's closing up, and so Magnussen once again retakes the lead. And I can't really do too much there, because he saw on the right hand side using overtake mode, rich mix, but then the difference of DRS then makes all the difference in the world there down that back straight, and he's able to get in with a little bit of a lock up there, feeling the pressure maybe from Alonso a little bit. So let's see if we can keep up with Magnussen. But I'm not going to lie, he's pulled a decent amount there in only one sector, so let's see if we can keep up with our teammate there. I'm a little bit worried that we won't be able to, because now you can see on the replay camera as Ocon goes to overtake Fernando Alonso, Magnussen is pulling that gap in P1, so I don't know if I think the wind might have got away from us a little bit. I think think we might have to settle for P2 maximum, as now Ocon is past Alonso and might try and chase after us, as now Alonso immediately feels the heat from the two Red Bull cars of Verstappen and Ricciardo. So let's watch out for that and see how that develops. But as we're on to lap 19 then, 8 laps to go, and Magnussen has truly checked out this Grand Prix. Hands up, I don't have the pace to match him here at the moment. I just don't. And now I have to try and defend from Esteban Ocon maybe. And he's got all the speed in the world, despite me being overtake mode and rich mix. He goes past with DRS there, and the Mercedes engine working to good effect. And he's up into P2, but we're going to try and keep up with him if we can in this last sector and try and re-overtake him. I'm not going to take it lying down completely there. I mean, I can put my hands up when I'm being beaten fair and square by Magnussen, but I think we can maybe try and keep up with Ocon potentially. I mean, through the corners, our car in theory should be better, but we know how good and OP that Force India has become in the last couple of episodes. So let's see how this goes. Alonso's keeping up behind us, but let's try and get Ocon if we can now with Rich Mix going as well. This time we'll have the DRS advantage, and we will be able to get Ocon back in this Grand Prix for P2 and remake it a 1-2 for Haas. But for how much longer can we keep on doing this back and forth defending, because we're now on lap 20 and Ocon in the same exact place is going to have a good run. I'm just finding very, very poor traction there. I think it might be because I maybe need to go higher up into ERS modes earlier, mid-apex of the corner rather than on the exit, but Ocon again waltzes past us with DRS as well. I mean, that's just a factor in its own. The DRS is very powerful. I don't know what upgrades Force India have done. It might as well have done drag reduction updates, and eventually if you get into the aero tree high enough, you get into DRS upgrades. So maybe Force India just really upgraded that area of the car because they're really flying, whereas Alonso with DRS, we managed to keep him behind. So I think that's just the difference maybe. Or maybe that McLaren car is just a bit more draggy maybe. Obviously a very good engine in the back of the McLaren now in Season 2 of this career mode, but the drag still might be there as a legacy from the chassis of the base McLaren car. And speaking about the McLaren car so much, Alonso now down the inside there of turn 1, has a little look, gets the nose in there, even with DRS for us there, he has a good pop. So actually maybe the McLaren just beforehand didn't have the ERS to try and attack me, but now it does, because we're late and deep into turn 2. And now on turn 3, Alonso has a good run on the outside. The Red Bull's not too far off as well, and Alonso is going to try this very audacious pass down the inside there to get, is it payback for what I tried down the inside of him? We're going neck and neck on the exit there. It's really, really close. Look at that. You can put a piece of paper between our two cars, and he brake checks us as well for good measure. Alonso very feisty there. He must be saying, he said karma in the car right there for what we did to him when we squeezed him out. I think that's a bit of payback for getting him in the traffic there, unaware. And so now we have to try and maybe close back on Alonso. But unlike with the Force India and also my own teammate in the other Haas car, I've got the speed here in a straight line on the outside, and I'm feeling very bold and daring on the outside of turn 2. We've got the inside line. Alonso again takes the outside there, but he cuts across, and we just about manage to sense that, and we cut through to the right hand side and kind of pull the wool over Alonso's eyes. He tried to block us on the left, and we just said, nope, I'm going to go to the right there, mate, and take where you were on track, and we've got it back into P3, and so we will finish up, I think, in the podium position. It's going to be my teammate, though, with a very dominant win here at the Russian Grand Prix in the end. Obviously, he was very close for maybe the first, third of the race then, but when he got his head down, fair play to Magnussen. He's done the job there. He used the car to good effect, and he's going to win the Russian Grand Prix. Ocon in P2, amazing job by him in the Force India car, but I'm happy with P3. In the end, Alonso actually got overtaken by Daniel Ricciardo there. You can see on the top left there, or not Ricciardo, even Max Verstappen. Looks like Verstappen and Ricciardo maybe swap positions as well, because it was Ricciardo initially ahead, but there you go. It's going to be a podium here at Russia, and so I'm still happy about that, because it makes up for the calamity we had last season with the engine issues.
Really well done. That was a fantastic drive.
A great win then for the Haas team today. And Anthony Davidson, give me your thoughts. How did they accomplish this result?
I think a large part of the result comes down to temperament. They were able to keep their heads when everyone around them was losing theirs, and that's allowed them to get the best out of the car, to maximise the strategy, and to stay out of trouble.
Our drivers are making their way out for the podium celebrations, and it's going to be Haas picking up the winner's trophy. Congratulations to the entire team for coming out on top in that amazing Grand Prix.
So clearly a very solid day in the office then for the team. Obviously my teammate gets the win, which is a bit frustrating, but fair play. He just had a much better pace today. And so he gets his second win of the season. He won at Spain, of course, and then now here at Russia, I won Canada and the Austrian Grand Prix. So I think we're 2 apiece, if I'm not mistaken. Or I might have 3 wins. I can't even remember, to be honest. But there we go. We'll obviously lose a bit in the championship for 25 points to 15 there, but it's still a very, very good gap there going into the last couple of rounds. And for the constructors' sake, we're looking very, very strong. Still surprised, to be honest, that Red Bull and Mercedes are hanging on, but of course they had a big advantage in terms of points from the beginning of the season to McLaren. But if Alonso keeps up the consistency of being in the top 4 or 5 like this, then, you know, he could well try and drag McLaren up to maybe overtake Red Bull then eventually. But of course he'll be pissed off that he didn't convert the pole into another win there, but still signs that McLaren in the hands of Alonso is improving so much and trying to, you know, fight back to that Force India fight that, you know, inevitably came after the patch. But we're now going to the final interview questions then before rounding out the episode.
Good day today. Tell us about it from your perspective.
Another podium. You must be getting used to it up there.
I think we had a similar question like this maybe a couple of episodes ago, and we're going to go with the same similar answer. Very egotistical, tongue-in-cheek there on the left-hand side. Maybe I should lose on purpose there.
You had a bit of contact today. Who was at fault there?
And obviously there was a little slight bit of contact here and there between me and Magnussen. I'm going to go no one's at fault. Be a bit sportsmanship-like, you know, nothing happened in the end, so it's fine.
Have you learned a lot from your battle with your rival?
And this is actually in response to me losing this latest team rivalry with Magnussen. He's actually won this one, so it's now 4-2. I'm just going to go with no comment there, to be honest.
Well, thanks anyway.
Went with the no comment because either way, I didn't feel like either of those answers were ones I wanted to give, so I may as well just not say anything there. But yeah, Magnussen did actually end up winning this, so it's now 4-2 on the team-out rivalries. You can see we've already won, obviously won against Vettel. We're currently leading this one, not by too much actually. Vettel's still in there, maybe, so you never know if he kind of bucks up his racing boots. He can maybe do something about it, but as of late, Ferrari have been getting very, very unlucky and just not being anywhere really on pace. I'm trying to think of the last time Ferrari was actually in the top 3 fight there. I think it's been a good 5 episodes maybe. But anyway, we're going to move through then to the final contract negotiation attempt of the season. Obviously, we're going to redo it with Haas because we've got a final few episodes left until the end of the season. Obviously, then at the end of the season, I'll be negotiating a contract with a new team. I haven't decided what team that's going to be, but you can just feast your eyes then on the right-hand side and see the reputation level for all the teams there. So I'm not going to say anything, guys. I'm just going to let you look at that and read into that what you will of the reputations and whatnot. But for now, we're going to re-sign with Haas. Obviously, just renegotiate the same similar contract of the maximum on upgrade level, the simultaneous developments, the resource points we get, a medium kind of team goal there, and then we're going to bump down the positions to P4 and P4 for quali and the race. Pit stop efficiency, none. I actually undersell myself there. Actually, on the right-hand side, you can see there the contract value is actually quite a bit under my actual value. I think that's because I put the simultaneous development on level 2, not 3, but in the end, it won't matter because I'm not really doing too many updates because we're saving a lot of resource points to see if we're going to have to save any R&D for the R&D reset. Although, I will say this, something I thought about after I recorded this episode, and as I'm thinking right now in the commentary, usually the R&D reset cutscene happens either at Russia or around Japan. I don't know if any of you guys have experienced the cutscene coming in later, you know, in the last 3 rounds of the season, but I'm starting to also get a tiny bit kind of concerned that there's going to be no R&D reset, which in a way will be very interesting because it means whilst I'm leaving Haas, it means I'll leave them and they'll still be this good. And so whatever team I go to, I will have to compete basically against a team I built up to be that good if there's no R&D reset. But there might be one at Japan, but if not, I'm wondering will there actually be one? Because I think going into this game, I think the Codys did say that there's not a guaranteed chance there's a reset every single year. So I don't know, we'll have to see about that. I got very lucky in season 1. That might actually come back to bite me now, because if I get the same sort of quote-unquote luck of a very low R&D reset, like I said, I am leaving Haas for a new team because I want to. I want a bit of scenery change. It might come back to bite me because they'll be very, very good. And so I'll have to go up against a very good Magnussen and a returning Romain Grosjean in the car that I built. So we'll have to see about that and see if we get the cutscene next episode. But if not, let's watch out for that. But guys, if you have enjoyed this one, smash the like button. I've got to say, on the last 2 episodes especially, guys, you've been smashing, I think, nearly over 2,000 likes on both the Italian Grand Prix episode and the Singapore one. I can't thank you guys enough for that. Let me know in the comments below, as usual, what you thought about that episode. Then, guys, if you're on your end here, do get subscribe for weekly full-on content. I've been Aarava. Hope you enjoyed today, and I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.